Hello all, very welcome to the world's first Pharmacy Metaverse Hackathon. So I'm really glad that you all have took your time and attended this session. I know it is a different time at your place. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are tuning this across the globe. So being part of IPASF, it's really exciting that we are connecting with team of Metaverse. And so without further ado, I would start with Argon. So Argon, you can introduce yourself, your name, organization, and your job role that you are currently doing, and your views about Metaverse. And last one is something special. What is it you truly desire to achieve through Metaverse? Yeah, thank you. The floor is yours.
Digital highway, cyberspace, the internet, the World Wide Web. There have been many names over the last 30 years to describe our increasing move towards interconnectivity around the world. The latest name is Metaverse. Is it different? Is it not? I think it is. I think we are at a threshold moment, a paradigm shift, because we have a collection of technologies, each on their own, capable of completely transforming mankind and the way we experience life and interact with each other. However, these technologies are not alone. They're also together now influencing each other. Blockchain, artificial intelligence, mixed reality, our wireless data transmission, all of that. And so I think that we've come to a quintessential time in human development. And the word that we're using to describe this move right now is Metaverse. That might change, it might not, who knows? But I love being a part of that. And it's my great dream that I can use the talents that I have been given by this great universe to make mankind better moving forward. So my name is Aragorn, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of a startup company called BeamUp, and we're developing the Your Open Metaverse platform, which hopefully will be the foundation. Think of it as a YouTube for the Metaverse going forward.
Okay, perfect. So I think you answered the question, but I just want to repeat that. What is it you truly desire to achieve through Metaverse?
Well, I truly hope the desire that we as humankind can come together. I think that space has been the next frontier for mankind in the past century. It's becoming the frontier again that can unite us in a common goal and effort. But I think that apart from going outside, I think that the Metaverse offers an opportunity to go inside and to connect with each other, to collectively dream and experiment in a world where we can really, do control and damage, and there's no real damage done if we do anything there, at least not for the moment. So I think that my real vision is that the Metaverse can allow us to travel beyond the limitations of our current world and really connect humanity.
Thank you, Oregon. That's lovely. So moving on to Eddie, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be over here and sharing my insights. So I've been invested in the virtual reality industry since 2015, and started as a content studio. We built our own 16 camera rig in 2015. Directed, produced India's first stereoscopic virtual reality horror short film called Crackle. It did the festival circuit, and I realized that in 2016 that we were too early into the ecosystem, and to create a business which is sustainable. The ecosystem needs to be strong. And so that's the reason I founded Immersion. Immersion is India's first and largest virtual reality film festival and conference. Through it, I gathered around 45 speakers from India and around the world. It was a 2-day event. Everybody from Facebook, Google, Intel, Geo, Accenture were part of the event. It's called the flagship IP for AR/VR in the country. I also have founded XROM. XROM is a digital news website which gives a voice, for all these startups from India and around the world. I also host a podcast called XROM. I've interviewed around 130 odd leaders from India and around the world who are fronting AR, VR, MR, and push driving the ecosystem. Like Aragon was saying that what's happening is that there's a convergence of technology, and it's not going to be one technology. It's actually going to be something like a mobile phone. Today we do not call mobile phone a technology because it's a pocket it's a computer in your pocket, and we don't think of it as a technology. So I think all of these what we are hyping, the metaverse or whatever. I think it's all going to converge, and eventually it's going to be something which is going to add a lot of benefits, but at the same time it gets a little scary because it started with virtual reality and we're just giving it names because as a business I think we need to kind of and we talk about that 8 trillion market opportunity, a 13 trillion market opportunity. I guess nobody tells you the fact that what we are creating is virtualization of a physical world. We moving forward on virtualizing of physical world. What I mean by that, I think in the next few decades, if you guys have seen the Black Mirror, we'll be going towards that world where everything is going to be digitized, and as freaky and as weird it might sound, there are haptic feedback through which we kind of simulating all of at this point in time, touch and feel, but eventually I think with the brain computer interface and things like that, we'll be able to simulate everything. So if we're talking about the metaverse, what the metaverse actually is going to be, it's going to be the shift from a physical world to the digital world. The digital world, I hope that digital world is not Black Mirror, and I hope that digital world is something that we would want to get into. And I hope that we start asking brave and deeper questions, because I think everybody is talking about the $13 trillion opportunity, and nobody talks about how this technology can actually help and democratize the centralization, because move from us being go to from a centralized world to a decentralized world. So I hope that this transition from the centralization to the decentralization is cool. I hope that this physical world or transitioning from a physical to a digital world in the next few decades, when this all of these tech stack comes together, and then you won't be calling it a technology. You'll be sitting, and maybe there'll be some like a chip or wearable device which will take you into a virtual world. You will be possibly pushing the boundaries of what is impossible, and I hope that that world we get into is good. So what I want to achieve is maybe raise awareness as a community builder. Bring the fact, cut out the jargon, and make people realize that we need to tread carefully. There are some great things happening. We just need to tread carefully.
Thank you, Eddie. That's really good insight. And coming to Black Mirror, even that really gets me chills whenever I think of the series, when I see that Black Mirror, because a couple of them were very intriguing, and I really felt this shouldn't happening. But all of a sudden, when this Facebook came up with Meta, that is when most of the people, I think, in my surroundings got to know about Metaverse. So yeah, we hope things get better. And being a pharmacy field, we think we need to work hand in hand and proceed further. So thank you for that. So next, moving on to Mike. Hello, Mike. The floor is yours.
Hey guys, Mike Angel. I've been in the tech startup space for a while now. I've sort of founded or been a founding engineer for companies that are now worth, well, combined, they're probably worth $2 billion now. So it's not just one. I've worked with e-commerce, with Fast, and then recently I built Fractal with the co-founder of Twitch, which is an NFT marketplace for games. And now I'm working on Wurtulla, focusing on a blockchain. Obviously, when you start thinking about the metaverse and the fact that there's billions of interactions, to be fair, none of the blockchains can handle that today. So like, we're obviously all working towards a bigger technology goal, so everyone takes their part. So for me, I'm focusing on the underlying tech to kind of make some of this other stuff work. But yeah, I'm also on the side, also working on another stealth tech startup with another unicorn founder, which is going to be interesting as well. So there's the interesting thing I find is there's so many people coming into the space that we're just not here before. And to be honest, the weight that they have behind them is going to really catapult this thing forward, even though everyone's sort of complaining that the market's downturning a little bit. But it's from what I know, there's a whole bunch of people coming into the space, so it's going to be cool. And then as far as what I think the metaverse is, I think everyone's covered it. Like it's going from physical to digital. When you take out the fact that you don't have to mine minerals out of the ground to build anything anymore, production costs become very, very cheap, and you can basically make things that break physics and chemistry in every way that you can't do in the real world. So we'll be able to have experiences that people have never even experienced before. So that's what excites me and why I think it should become something. So
I know it's not my turn, but I'm just so happy that you just said that, because I rarely hear other people say this opportunity for reducing our carbon footprint. Thank you so much for that.
To be honest, I'd love to say it's for environmental impacts, but it's also good for business when your profits are basically 100%. So.
Well, but isn't that that's Valhalla? It's it's the ultimate dream. You can have your cake and eat it. I think of that. I think it's amazing. Exactly. Sorry, I took over your Gendra.
Oh, no, so that's me covered. I'm happy to answer more questions if anyone has them. But yeah.
Yeah, so I think Argon, if I'm not wrong, I saw one post you shared on the LinkedIn, how to reduce the carbon footprint just by using this VR. All these gadgets were reducing down to one VR. So that is really good. That's what really made me think, okay, we can reduce the carbon footprint using this. So yeah, thank you for that. And also
the opportunities are endless. You know, I look at Star Trek. I'm okay. So maybe I shouldn't talk now because someone else turned. But think about the Vulcans. Whenever you see them in Star Trek, they never have any great cities or highways or anything. So how come that this scientifically super advanced race does that? It's because they virtualize everything that they don't need to be essentially physical. And the opportunities and possibilities of that are just so incredible. And we're so close to it. People think it's, 50 years or 100 years away, but no, a decade and the most. Anyway, sorry, go on. I'm super excited. That's what you get when you get me early morning coffee.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. So coming to you, Mike. Okay, thank you for that, Mike. So once after the presentations, I would also ask your comments and also for your suggestions. So moving on to Mark, floor is yours.
Yeah, hi guys. Thank you for having me today. So yeah, I'm Mark. I'm from 8XR, and we believe hugely in 8XR what internet is a metaverse already. And our goal is basically bring 3D tools to build 3D internet, three-dimensional internet. And we also believe what metaverse helps us in communication. That's why we have multiplayer in a place, and all our spaces support multiplayer from the box. And yeah, I'm super excited to see what we have today. Yeah, thanks guys.
Just the last one. What is it you truly desire to achieve through metaverse?
Sorry, can you repeat one more time?
Sure, no problem. What is it you truly desire to achieve through the metaverse?
Yeah, what I'm truly desire, I think my true desire is connect as much people as we can, and give the people more space to talk and to communicate with each other. I mean, we have a Zoom right now, right? But Zoom is only one space where we can talk. Why we don't have any more? And I think metaverse, it will be such type of space.
Got it. So thank you, Mark. So we have a few presentations today. So hello, Sainath. Are you ready for the presentation? I think you must be. Hello, Sainath, can you hear? So how we can do is initially they'll be presenting one pitch regarding how they can integrate the pharmacy using the metaverse. And afterwards, each one of you can give your comments and say, how can that be enhanced using your own technology or some of your suggestions. So that is how we were thinking, because it's such a sort of juvenile phase, even in India, even across globe. I think it is such a nascent phase. But we are really looking forward to step into this field. Like being a healthcare professional, it's really needed.
So
because
can I
with
just ask
COVID and all. Yeah,
Can
sure.
I ask you a quick question, Jürgen? So is this like, like a Dragon's Den kind of where we get the pitch and then we give ideas and our input, in a constructive manner. And then ultimately at the end of all the pitches, me and the jury team go back and we have a discussion about the different pitches and we decide on the top 3, right?
Right. Yeah,
Cool.
That's it. Perfect. Yeah, so just a moment. Let me check who is ready to present. I think Aishwarya, are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. So I'll present your screen. I think you gave me your presentation, right? Let me share yours. So just a moment. Okay. Aishwarya, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Yogi. So firstly, I thank everyone here for giving me this opportunity to pitch my ideas. My name is Baurishiti Aishwarya. I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's in pharmacy. I'm in my final year. So today, let's start with my presentation. Yogi, can you please switch the slide? Okay, my main motto is to concentrate on the telehealth. People are less aware about telehealth, especially in India. Telehealth is one of the best platforms ever to use. It is a very user-friendly thing. You can use it for your daily basis. So telehealth was in 2009, it was only 11% uh, visits in the telehealth industry. But because of COVID thing in 2020, it is immensely raised into 46% in the end of 2020. So I guess telehealth is developing right now, but to make more changes in telehealth platforms, we need to be more, we need to introduce more devices for developing the telehealth platform. So firstly, Yogi, can you please change the slide? Yeah. Firstly, what is telehealth? Telehealth is a platform where you will be giving services, information, you'll be directly contacting the doctor through your own place, like your home, to a doctor or any specialist or any healthcare profession, to your phone or a laptop or whatever it might be, the platform of social media, in a very convenient way and very easy way, and which is very low cost too. So, but people are not using, are hesitating telehealth because they have very less confidence, like they don't know if telehealth is very accurate or the results they give is accurate or not. So obviously they believe doctors more than anything, but still we need to get telehealth onto the into the world in a developed way, not in developing but developed way. So using the technologies, healthcare delivery will be done in telehealth. There are many specialists who actually will be in a different telehealth platforms for diagnosis, treatment, recognizing uh, your disease or disorder, depending upon the signs and symptoms you give them. So next slide, Yogi. So what challenges we face? Firstly, telehealth is completely online. It is completely virtual. So it takes a lot of like fund to do it. So there are many people actually doing it, but not completely, but the results are not so accurate. So secondly, people. So patients here or anywhere in the world, especially in India, they don't believe telehealth so much. So firstly, our main thing is to motivate patients to make them believe that telehealth is the most accurate one and safest to use. So our main motive is to make telehealth as a user-friendly and primary platform after doctor consultation. So how to make it reach, like what to do to make telehealth more reachable to the patients is to make more user-friendly, to make integrated, having different specialists of like different kind of doctors, specialized doctors, and people can also customize according to their choice. They can choose their own specialist, and which is obviously safe alternative after doctor consultation and maintaining the quality and accuracy. In pharmacy, everything, not only in pharmacy, everything must have the quality maintained and safety to be taken care. So after doing this all, outcomes we can expect is to, like, people can actually get into telehealth once the quality of the health is increased, telehealth platforms is increased. And then by this, if the telehealth is developed and everyone started using this can actually reduce the mortality time or rate, because they can keep checking about their health issues or whatever the health thing right in their phones, right in their hands, right at their homes. So this will also decrease the hospital visits and hospital admissions and the crowd of spreading the bacterial diseases if one is serious, like COVID, if you do it at home. And so today my idea in telehealth, how to develop the telehealth is two different ideas. One is in mental health, one is in cancer. So firstly, I'll be explaining about mental health termination. I guess every person right here have faced some mental depression earlier in your life or currently, because I personally faced my mental depression, anxiety disorder in last 2 years, and trust me, it took many things to came out of it. So finally, I'm out of it. So today, why mental health I've chosen, because I am one of the victim of that. So especially people about age of 12 to 18 years are facing main mental health disorders in all over the world. 1 in 5 are facing that. So I thought, why don't we just terminate mental health initially so that they will carry that in their 20s and 30s in a good way. So why don't we just, so I got this idea, why don't we just, introduce a mobile video gaming app with VR headset to give them an experience, how it works. It's like we need to develop an app of mobile video gaming, which is right in their mobiles, which is very convenient. And that mobile app must detect the prescription. Obviously, they'll go to doctor, they'll get a prescription. They come to know what's going in their mental health or mental illness. According to the prescription, the game can be uh, customized to the patient. Why it is only in a game form? Because people of 12 to 18 years are so much into games now, not outdoor games, but obviously on mobile. So by actually the main cause behind the mental illness of 12 to 18 years is loss of attention. Their parents can't make time or can't give time to children, like can't give attention because of their own life completely. So this is affecting children's head so much. So we can introduce a video game, customized video game to the children without any adverse effects. So this is one of my mental health termination idea. And second one is cancer. So yeah, cancer till now, till 2020, that's 9.6 million people were died because of cancer. The main reason is we can't detect cancer in early stages. So this thing came in my head. Why don't we just introduce a device which detects cancer cells in early stages so that we can decrease the mortality rate? So my primary concern was this, to detect the cancer cells in early stages. So how can we do it? Obviously, by using metaverse, we can actually use blockchains. I'm not completely into metaverse because I'm a pharma student, but I'm trying to get it. I have recently learned about it. So this is my idea. If I'm wrong, I'm really sorry. So we can actually introduce a device, an app which is connected with your phone. By altering the immune cells, we can actually detect the cancer cells in early stages without any pain to the patient. Because chemotherapy, the treatment is also very painful. So to make it easy, why don't we just detect the cancer cells in an easy way and without pain? And if possible, I wish if it's possible, we can also kill or decrease the tumor causing cells and decrease the tumor growth in the cancer patients. So these two are my different ideas to make revolutionary changes in the telehealth. Trust me, these two are the most common disorders or diseases that are going on in the world, which led to many suicides in mental health and many natural deaths in the cancer disease. So next slide, please. So I already said how it works. Like we're gonna in mental health termination, the mobile video gaming is the app we're gonna design with VR headset to make them experience more and make them cure little faster. And cancerous cells can be detected by a design by blockchain. Why blockchain is blockchain we're gonna use to make it more accurate and quick process. Next slide, Uzi. So the main thing, okay, once we got the device, whatever, we have discovered a device, but what about the reach? How can we make the device to reach to the people, to the patients? It's obviously the marketing and advertising. So firstly, I already mentioned that we're gonna do it in apps. So apps are mostly in Google Play Store. Every person uses it. So we're gonna do it in Google Play Store and Google Ads. And second thing, this is something which is, I don't know if it works, but if it works, it will be amazing. And there are already many telehealth apps in India, like MediPlus, 1MG app, they come to our home and they take the tests. So those kind of apps people are actually using here nowadays in COVID. So I thought, why don't we collaborate with them and give advertisements about the devices of cancer or mental health in their platforms itself. And in return, we are also giving advertising their apps to making it more reachable. So this is my idea of advertising and marketing about the devices. So I already said the main objective is to make revolutionary development in telehealth. So this is all about my presentation. If I'm wrong, I'm really sorry because I don't know much about metaverse, the technical stuff. So I tried my level best to do it. Thank you, everyone.
Aishwarya, I don't think you need to apologize for anything because all of this metaverse concept is new. If there is something which it was not there till now, we are going to create. So it's pretty much fine. And thank you for your lovely presentation. So let's go with Argon. Argon, you have any comments or any suggestions on this? We would love to hear.
Sorry, I was muted. So I can give my feedback now, yes? That's correct?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So first of all, I didn't quite catch her name. What was her name?
Her name is Aishwarya.
Aishwarya.
I'm never gonna do that justice. So Aishwarya. Okay, I hope I said that
You
right.
can
I'm
just
so
call
sorry.
me Aish. Yeah.
Aish. Okay, Aish. Okay, Aish. Thank you so much, first of all, for making so much effort, putting in your tremendous brain power, and taking the time to do this. You really did a great job. I really love the direction of your ideas. I really highly empathize with where you're coming from when it comes to mental health. I went through a serious mental health crisis about 2 years ago myself. I am bipolar, but generally I only suffer from mania and hypomania, which makes me more active and creative, sometimes a little crazy, but in a positive way. But during COVID, I had a mental breakdown. I had a tremendous depression. So I really understand where you're coming from. And being at home during the lockdown and not being able to get the help that I needed because the mental healthcare system was completely overloaded here in Amsterdam. I also had the idea that there's tremendous opportunity for telehealth to help people around the world with mental health in many ways. So I really love that idea. And I definitely think that somebody like you, young, energetic, and intelligent, should pursue this. So I really like that. In terms of the general feedback that I wrote down, a few things here. So first of all, I see you've decided to pursue two different directions with the telehealth, right? On the one hand, you went for the mental health and the gaming aspect for young kids, where you're taking a more proactive and how do I say this? You take an approach where you want to avoid things. You want to educate children early on through a game to make sure that you're there before problems come into existence. I think that's the great approach to health in general. I think that's what we should be doing more around the world. But on the other hand, you're also going about on this cancer thing. Now, both are great ideas, but if you want to do something right, you should do one thing and go all in on that. So my advice for you would be, if you want to pursue this, make a choice. Go for one or the other, but don't try to do both because it's going to be too complicated. In terms of the feedback on each individual proposal, I think that the mental health thing is something that is most feasible and realistic right now. Something where you have no great technological obstructions because the infrastructure for what you need is already in place, and there's already... on the other hand, if you're looking at the market from a commercial side of things, because every business also needs to, of course, make money in our current world, even though, we might not always like that. There's already many initiatives underway when it comes to telehealth in the mental health area, right? So it might be much harder to have a successful startup there unless you have a very specific differentiating approach. The cancer idea, however, that's something that I haven't heard about yet. And funnily, in 2021, they totally by accident discovered a blood test that allows you to detect up to 50 kinds of cancer, of which 45 didn't even have previous real testing opportunities. And the amazing thing about a blood test is that that's something that if you develop that a bit further, you can bring it down to, you only need 1 drop of blood. Now, if you combine that with technology that we already have for diabetes people, where they just wear a patch on their arm, which can check their blood for blood sugar levels, I'm no expert in this field, but I would say that it's absolutely possible to create a device that would be fairly cheap, that in combination with an app would be able to check your blood for at least these 50 types of cancer. And even if it's not feasible today, that's something that you could develop over the next few years. So I'd say that there is a tremendous opportunity there, and that would be a great idea. So from a technological point of view, as far as I know, that's something that is feasible but doesn't exist today. And therefore, I would say that that is a market where you could really make an impact. Two final things. Don't apologize. I'll say that again. Don't ever apologize to anybody for anything, especially after you put so much effort, time, and energy into creating something like this. You do not need to apologize, and you should not apologize, because apologizing will make you look weak. It might be a bit harsh to say this now, but I want you to really take this home after this. Do not apologize. And then finally, an idea like this, I would go take it a step further, because you talked about Google, but Google has a tremendous health program, Google Health, and their apps. Apple has a tremendous health program, Apple Health. And there's also companies like Whoop for my health band that already are making strides in this area. If you want to do something like this, I would look to partner up with them, perhaps even get some seed funding from them or investment, because they might be very interested. And that might make your journey a lot more easier. On the other hand, if you team up with big companies like this early on, there's also always the really real risk that they'll take a big part in what you have, and might, from a business point of view, you might not really be able to run the startup the way you want, but it's an idea. So that's my feedback. I hope that wasn't too long.
Oh, that was really amazing. Thank you, Aragon. So next, on to Eddie. Eddie, are you there with us?
Yeah. Hi, Aishwarya. So, the presentation was quite nice. So I'm going to split this into two parts. But before I do that, so I think, being an entrepreneur is, it takes the life out of you. When you're building a company, everybody thinks that, when you're building an idea, a company, and you've got an idea, things fall in place, very quickly, and especially if it's a metaverse, it's the technology that's in hype, let's jump onto the bandwagon. It's completely the opposite. And trust me, I've been to this since 7 years, and it just sucks the life out of you when you're not getting enough funds to kind of, even run your business, or, make your day-to-day, expenses. So it gets very, very tough. So being an entrepreneur, not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur, but whoever chooses to be, the path is really, really tough. It's not easy. So the harsh part, Aishwarya, when there's a new technology, whether it's blockchain or a metaverse, first, spend some time, understand what it's all about, and not everything is a solution. So metaverse, blockchain, you need to dig deep, understand where there's a linkage, if there's a linkage, and if it's not, you really don't need to use it. Telehealth at this point of time, there are these mobile phones which has all the ingredients to create an application for telehealth. And by the way, in 2019 itself, I think the India's telehealth industry was somewhere around $829 million, and by 2025 it's projected to be somewhere around $5.4 billion. So it's a huge opportunity. But whatever you shared, it was extremely hazy. Mental health and the other was cancer. These are obviously huge problem. Even if you scratch the surface, there's like $1 billion waiting for you. But you need to dig deep, understand who are the peers who are kind of creating a solution, because there are problems. How are you creating a solution? Understand that, because I think there are already so many startups who have gone so far ahead. The entire metaverse space is ridden with complexities, and especially when you talk about telehealth, the challenges are you get into headsets. You get in headsets, and headsets are shit expensive at this point in time, and it's going to stay that for a couple of maybe years. So if you're using telehealth, avoid those hardwares, getting in those hardwares. If you're talking about an AR, VR, MR, those devices, they are expensive. And you're saying if you want to democratize healthcare by reaching it through the rural area, again, a major hindrance, because internet connectivity is still a problem. So I think focusing on the problem is very important. Yes, Aishwarya, I think mental health, the gamification idea is really cool. There are somebody who's already doing it. Cancer, linking it with blockchain, where I probably didn't understand. Maybe you need to send me an email with more details to kind of make it more clear on how do you wish to tackle this problem. But each of these they are huge problems. And if you tackle, like Arrogant mentioned, I mean, maybe look at one problem, be narrower, because these technologies, sometimes, when like I started in the beginning, like, oh, city just predicted it's an $8 trillion opportunity, $13 trillion opportunity, and the hype which is created by Facebook, moving from being a social media company to a metaverse company, so yes, the hype is very cool, but if you want to solve a problem, look at it in a very narrow space, and think, do we actually require metaverse? Do we actually require blockchain to solving the problem? And if not, it's not really needed. You could find a way to monetize first, because I guess any business, it starts with monetizing, and nobody is going to fund you, and nobody is going to be there if the idea is hazy, and if you don't require a specific technology right now. So I mean, my advice to you would be, I mean, yes, mental health is a huge problem, cancer is a huge problem. I think maybe understand that a little bit more on how you can narrowly solve the problem through that, and then possibly maybe my suggestion would be, like, find the solution which really works with the technology, whether if you need it or not. And then I'm sure it will be really cool. I'm sorry if I was a little harsh.
Yeah, thank you, Eddie. That's a good one. So moving on to Mark, the floor is yours.
Sorry, you said Mike or Mark? Because usually Mike goes ahead of me.
Yeah, I just want to call you. Yeah, Mark.
Okay, yeah, thanks. So first of all, yeah, thanks for your effort to do that type of presentation, and I'll be short. Yeah, I think, like, the most problem, you covered 3 cases, and it's better to be narrow, and it's better to focus on only one. And yeah, I also agree with Aragorn. Like, I think the most closest case to solve is like mental health here. Yeah, from my perspective, I will focus on that. What else to say? Yeah, and I really want to know how you want to solve the problem of cancer with Web3 and with Solana blockchain. So how blockchain involved in that process. It would be amazing to see more technical details during the presentation, just to catch up the idea. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So Mike, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I think everyone's covered most things, but I'll definitely repeat you got to narrow the idea down. Like, and to be honest, the first idea wasn't even an idea. You were explaining the industry, and to be honest, if you're going to go into, like, I've raised money before, but if you're ever going to do that, you should have started with one of the ideas. So, like, if you were going to build a game, it was actually coming in and saying, there's a whole bunch of people, this is the issue, and I'm going to build a game, because it just gets people interested in what you're talking about. Just actually start with telehealth. A lot of people, the problem is everyone kind of knows a little bit about telehealth now, so it becomes a bit of a, people go, oh, okay, now I have to listen to them talking about telehealth. Whereas if you can get into the idea that's unique to you, like straight up, that's where it gets really interesting. So yeah, that's what I mean. Just pick one of those 2 that you're going to do and just start with that and drill deeper on it. Like, you did a lot of stats about obviously the telehealth and how it was growing, but it'd be cool to know, like, more details on how those little niches work, because no single company can really solve telehealth, but as a startup, you can definitely attack one of those problems, and you can attack them really well. So I would really drill down on that. And the other thing I would say is people are visual as well. So, like, you did give numbers. If you ever talk about numbers, put a graph in there, because some people don't listen to what you're saying, but at least they'll look at a graph and see what you're talking about. So every time you do something, try and back it up visually in sort of any slideshow. I know that takes effort, but like, and this is just a pitch, but they're things that are important when you really jump into the real world. So.
Yeah, I got it. So I just got a quick question. So if there is any chance, what would be the way that we can create this game? Would that be in Metaverse, or would that be feasible if we do that on mobile? Just got that question. I don't know really. So anyone of you can answer this?
Yeah, so yes, there are companies who are creating virtual reality game for mental health. I'm forgetting the name of the this company, and I had interviewed them on the podcast, and I'm sure there are so many others who are actually, looking at mental health and even cancer. I mean, so if the Aishwarya, if you have time and you can look up CTI podcast, or maybe you can get in touch with me. I'll share you the links of a couple of people who are working in cancer research and at the really the forefront, even in mental health. There are people at this point in time really looking at precision mental health. That's where the world has gone. So I would say, I mean, just kind of explore a little bit more as far as the leveraging metaverse is basically a virtual world. That's about it. I mean, and if you kind of later on want to put it onto a web3 platform, then that's when you get into blockchain and your NFTs and stuff like that. Metaverse currently is a virtual world. So if you guys are looking at leveraging the virtual world, yes, there's a huge opportunity, because I mentioned in the beginning that we are transitioning from a Web 2.0 to a Web 3.0 world, and everything is going to be your companies. All the companies, the physical companies are going to become tech companies. So there's a huge opportunity through mental health, through virtual reality game. I mean, you need to kind of be a little bit more, research a little bit more. Okay, how do I solve that? How do I solve mental health? Is such a huge problem. How do I solve it with virtual reality? And there are few companies who are doing that through virtual reality games. So if it's mental health, there are companies. Yeah.
If I can just jump in there's a few things that Eddie said that kind of trigger with me. So first of all, to answer the question, I know, for example, that there's a company here in the Netherlands called Dialogue Trainer, which I can put you in touch with, and they specialize in creating immersive training or immersive environments to help people. And they also collaborate with some universities to create programs that deal with mental health, for example, solving PTSD or anxiety, stuff like that. So I can help you there. As to what Eddie said, I'm sorry, Eddie, but I don't agree with you when you're talking about metaverse and saying that it's all about virtualization. I think that's a very, and of course, I do acknowledge, let me put that first, that the whole concept of metaverse is fluid right now. We are trying to figure out what it is exactly. There's many different opinions around the world and different approaches. However, my personal view on this is that looking at it as simply the move from physical to virtual environment, or even virtual or virtual reality and augmented reality is extremely limited, because in my personal opinion, metaverse is about the further integration of the digital world into our lives, and really altering our relationship with physical reality and with each other through a digital added layer of immersion and experience, right? So, and when we talk about that and we leave out the visual aspect, the blockchain side of things and the artificial intelligence side of things are very important and make it, in my personal opinion, just as much metaverse as any visual aspect. So you could have anything that has nothing to do with augmented reality or virtual reality, but you're still using, blockchain technology, for example, to could gather data from patients and make that private, so that people's data doesn't get abused, and you use blockchain for that, for example, or use artificial intelligence to recognize patterns in big data, like Whoop, for example, does, to find out if a rise in respiratory rate can say something about your current physical condition, or your heart rate says about your autonomous nervous system. There's great opportunities there. So don't just think about virtual worlds and augmented reality, because it doesn't necessarily need to be that. That's just my input, right? So putting that next to what Eddie gave, which is also valuable, it's also point of view. But I would like to stress again, like everybody says, to pick something and go deep. And also, I agree with Eddie that rather than coming up with a metaverse solution for any problem, try and just come up with a solution, and then see if the metaverse, if that turns out to be something that can help you, great. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. And then finally, one thing that I left out before, but I heard that the other juries gave some input on how you presented it. If I can give you one tip as a over a decade public speaking coach, skip in your next presentation or next pitch. Don't open with "Hi, thank you for being here. I'm grateful, and this is my name." You know, I know this sounds a little rough, but all of that's boring. Go straight to the meat. Think of any television series that you've ever watched. How does it start? It starts with a dead body in a basement in Las Vegas, and you're wondering what the fuck is going on. And then it goes back to explaining why. You need to grab the attention of your audience straight from the first moment, and anything that you do that is expected, like introducing yourself, thanking them that you're there, already makes people kind of go asleep and like, okay, whatever. I've seen this a million times. So don't be afraid to do what nobody else does, because that's what makes you stand out.
Perfect. Love that, Argon. So we'll move on to the next presentation. So Chaitanya, are you there with us?
Yes, Yogandhar, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Should I share this screen or you are sharing it?
I think you can share your screen. Let me make you co-host. Yeah, you can share your screen.
Okay. Yeah. So good morning, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. So good. My name is Sai Chaitanya, and I am from the team Family. So team Met Family, and we have been working on this revolutionizing pharmacy practice, basically interaction between community pharmacist and a patient. Okay, that will be done in metaverse. Okay, so so today right now I'm going to talk about what is meta pharmacy, how meta pharmacy works, things which are going to be done in meta pharmacy, and technology needed to operate all this. Yeah. So what is meta pharmacy? So in meta pharmacy, basically we are expecting to revolutionize patient and community pharmacist interaction by using Web 3.0 blockchain technology like Solana or anything, and several elements of metaverse like NFTs, tokens, or any other something. Um, uh, and then by doing so, we will, I think, yeah. So how basically this meta pharmacy works. So at first, this patient creates an avatar, so which is much needed for to interact in a meta pharmacy. So and next, a VR output device is needed, which can be a VR headset or maybe smart glasses or contact lenses, which are not available right now, which might be available in near future. And Solana blockchain. So in so basically all this is centric to basically Solana blockchain. So in that, data of the complete medical history of a patient is present, and the patient's stored in the blockchain, and the pharmacist accordingly dispenses and counsels the medication to the patient, and it can't be basically disclosed to anyone since it's a blockchain, not a database, anything. And yeah. So now I would like to my teammate to explain the slide. Her name is Vishnu Priya.
Yeah, hello everyone. And the things we do in the meta pharmacy includes the dispensing of medication, patient counseling based on medication history, and fast access to clinical information in order to deliver the patient care. In this, by using the blockchain, we can reduce the medication errors and patient's medication mix-up. And even the patient counseling will be help to avoid the patient areas and like adverse drug reactions and things what the patient should remember to do when taking the medication. And antibiotic adherence will be a best part in this metapharmacy, where the patients use the antibiotics for the doctor will be prescribing the medication for a time course, but the patients will use the antibiotics like they will take 2 to 3 tablets or 2 to 3 doses of antibiotics, and they just skip it because they have reduced or subsided the symptoms. So by using the metapharmacy with VR technology, our avatar will be helping the patients to know the correct use of medication, of antibiotics and everything. And here we can use the metapharmacy in various forms, like the patient, some will be having problem to discuss few things with the pharmacist or the prescriber. So by using this metapharmacy, our avatar will be like their comic character, so they can help get it will be helpful for them to discuss their problems in that VR chat box or anything. So like that we can reduce the uh, medication errors, and we can adhere the patient complaints. So for that, by that we can achieve the better healthcare in the pharmacy, in community pharmacy. And thank you. And I'm handing over to Chaitanya, my teammate.
Yeah. So if I have to explain it a little more, so basically how this works is the avatar of the patient basically is linked to the blockchain, and it has all the information. So it helps in helps the pharmacist to better know how the patient is compatible to several medications, and how basically all the also the pharmacovigilance data is stored in that blockchain, and it will know whether that patient is compatible with basically that, so whether he'll develop a side effect or any adverse effect or anything. And also AI can also be be a big part in this, in knowing future predictions of diseases or anything, any genetic disease that person might contract or anything based upon his genetic makeup. And yeah, that's it. So next slide would be, so yeah, so the technology needed to operate this meta pharmacy would be a virtual reality output device or anything, and Web 3.0, and artificial intelligence, Solana blockchain, and internet infrastructure basically. Yeah. So that's our presentation. So about revolutionizing the meta pharmacy. So that's it from our side. This is our team family. That's the end of our presentation.
Okay, thank you, Chaitanya. I think Arun is working in similar lines, but I couldn't say totally the same concept, but it's like sort of the same field. So yeah, that's a good presentation. So now I think I would start with Mike. Yeah, Mike.
Yes, I actually really love this one, because for me, this is about taking, well, for me, you guys covered a bit more, but for me, this is about taking prescriptions, which basically are a contract anyway. They're just on a piece of paper that a doctor gives you, and then you take it to a pharmacy. But for me, prescriptions actually really fit on the blockchain, because you're obviously opening up the ability for like two parties to operate who don't know each other, because to be honest, the blockchain is all about zero trust and creating interoperability between everyone. So like for me, like your idea, like you've obviously incorporated the VR in that, but like if you can just make people accept that a prescription could be put on the blockchain, you've like solved like the biggest leap in sort of blockchain health. So people have to remember we are really early in this space. So when you're early in a space, the companies that succeed are the ones that are building foundations. You might not actually have the product that goes to the consumer, but if you can get some doctors on board and some pharmacists on board to obviously agree to obviously put prescriptions on the chain, and you get some of them use them, you basically become the standard. And then obviously all these other pharmacies are going to build VR like protocols on top of you. So I think I think there's something really here if you really dove down deep on it and you could get the right people interested. I think the pitch was good. You kept it quite narrow. And yeah, I think it was good. I'm excited about it. It's good. I like it.
Oh, sorry, I'm muted. Yeah, thank you, Mike. So Mark, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I like this presentation too. And I think the one question only from my side, how you gonna deal with personal data? Because yeah, in terms of prescriptions and in terms of like dealing with medical data, how you're gonna access it and how you're gonna work with it is like main question. Yeah, and if you can cover it briefly, it would be amazing.
So I don't think they would be probably having answer for that. Chaitanya, do you have it? Because,
yeah, I think
okay,
I'll answer that, but I don't know how much extent I can answer to sir. So what we're thinking is, so we are clubbing all every information from the doctor, from the pharmacist, to everything comes under one, basically the patient's what should I say? I'm not getting that. The patient's basically a unique ID or any barcode kind of thing. So it contains every information which, even the doctor is going to, whenever he prescribes something, it's going to get embedded in that basically blockchain and everything. So in that way, as we start using all these metaverse and everything, so its data will be stored. I hope I
actually have an answer for that. Because currently I'm working for a pharmacy where I work on electronic medical administration records. So I don't think that is prevalent in India because I never saw really implemented, but I work for US based pharmacy. So we record, we store, and we like access those EMR records. So that is how we can do. Maybe I think there is need for one EMR in India. Yeah. So the answer for that would be using EMR.
I had that written down too. Like, I don't think the health record part is the important part. Like, to be honest, to have a prescription, to be able to put a prescription on the chain, you don't actually need to know the person's health record. Like, only the doctor needs to know that. As far as an actual contract, it's actually the prescription that would actually be pretty awesome. So like, I wouldn't be worrying too much about that. If I invested in that, I'd be saying ditch the health record stuff. Like, people aren't going to like that on chain anyway. Just focus on getting people to do prescriptions, and I think there's something there.
So I just got one quick question because in case if you are aware of USA, there is one HIPAA regulation. What if we are dealing with patients in metaverse? Would there be any digital health schemes be needed, or would that be safe space? As for this question, I don't know. Maybe anyone of you can think of it.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Could you rephrase
Sure. Sure. So currently there are HIPAA regulations, which is a federal law in USA, which is governing patients' identity, patients' information. So if that is metaverse, would we require any such sort of laws to be implemented in this?
Okay, I get it now. Well, let's start, and I can connect it to this to what Mark said. So if I look at the Netherlands, right, that's my country, and let's go back one more step and make one important statement. Let's not use the USA as a measure or a baseline for healthcare in any form, anywhere, in any way around the world. Not alone, there's only like, I don't know, 400 million Americans, and there's like 8 billion other people on the planet. But the healthcare system in the US is a disgrace. So that's one. Next, if I look at the Netherlands, we've had a significant issue in the last decade because we wanted to innovate or improve and transform our healthcare system through what they called the electronic patient dossier. So the idea behind that was every patient has a record, right? Has a file, has a history, a medical history. But whenever you move between medical facilities in the Netherlands, it's not so easy for a doctor to get access to that. So one doctor in your past might have diagnosed you with something, it might be in your file, but then this next doctor in the hospital can see that, and as a result, mistakes get made. And they wanted to fix this by making it all electronic. they never managed to do that in the last decade because there are so many challenges. The whole thing is a disaster. And I think personally, and this is where I do disagree with Mark, or was it Mike? No, Mark. No, it was Mike. That yes, although it would already be a light year, massive innovation if we can just get prescriptions on chain. That would be great. Getting people to accept that and making that work would be a tremendous innovation. On the other hand, we still don't have that, at least not in the Netherlands. And if we don't have it in the Netherlands, I can only assume that this goes for a lot of other, significantly developed countries. We don't have this kind of interoperable medical electronic infrastructure where a patient's information is easily distributed to the right doctors without, privacy violations. And I think solving that issue will have an even bigger impact than just doing the prescriptions, because it will allow for so many more really fine-tuned treatments of patients and less mistakes made by doctors because they have a better overview of a patient's history and specific needs. So, but solving that, of course, even though blockchain technology makes it solves a lot of the issues that they had 10 years ago, making all of this electronic and maintaining privacy in the right way, it still is a tremendous challenge because you cannot just put every piece of data on blockchain, right? You cannot just put all the MRI photos and scans that have ever been made of a patient, which can, go up to several gigabytes, and just put that in a blockchain. That's not how it works, because then that blockchain will not be able to function properly anymore, because every node needs to have that whole blockchain downloaded. We're already reaching these limits with some other blockchains, like even with Bitcoin, there's challenges there. So there's a great opportunity there. Two different opportunities even derived from this presentation. Both have tremendous potential. But again, what it comes down to is, digging deeper. I'd say that, you guys did a great job coming up with these ideas in this hackathon. What it really comes down to is taking one of them and really taking it apart and going in there. And don't be afraid that you don't know everything about the technology, because you can find other people that know that stuff. So, yeah, that's my feedback for now. And one more thing, in terms of digital twins, because then I'll just give my feedback anyway. I'm doing it. There's a lot of super cool stuff going on there. I say digital twin, you said avatar. I'm making that distinction because if you look at the medical space, they're not talking about avatars. They're talking about digital twins, right? The idea of virtualizing your physical self in such a way that you can, derive information from that, do testing on that, which is another potential idea coming from your presentation that you could, move on. But I know that a lot is being done in that space already, so I wouldn't necessarily go down that road. Oh yeah, one more thing about the presentation. Leave out words of uncertainty. Like you said something like, see if I can find an example. You said something like, yeah, and stuff like this, and thing, don't say stuff. Don't give vague words like that, because it gives the impression that you don't know what you're talking about. I know it can be very direct, but if you learn to leave this stuff out, you will be more convincing in the future. And then finally, always finish strong. Think of athletes when they do acrobats. When they jump over all of these machines, they always have to finish like this. And they have to stand still for 2 full seconds and not fall over, otherwise they get, lose points. Finish strong. So always finish on a strong statement with any picture presentation. That was a long talk, sorry.
That's really good. Thank you, Aragon. So moving on to Eddie. Are you there with us? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, like a lovely presentation. I think all the judges have kind of said everything that I've wanted to say. I mean, whether it's the avatar or digital twin, the healthcare space, digitization of healthcare data is, whether you put it on blockchain or whether you just digitize healthcare. I mean, that's so very needed, because I've got a 7-year-old boy, and we still can't find his physical, healthcare data, because I mean, having everything at one place, and if it's on a digital twin, avatar, and if every time you're getting a healthcare checkup, if the avatar is being updated with your healthcare data, that's a great win over this. So yes, I think what Aragon said also, I think I'll kind of emphasize on this. I think every pitch is like a story, so I think being a storyteller is very important, because I think you got a good idea, you married the right technology, with your blockchain, Web3, and the metaverse. So yes, I think it's a good thing, just keep on pushing it. And like Aragon again said, I mean, nobody knows everything. We are all just understanding the language of the metaverse, or what Web3 is. So we all playing a small role in that, and learning from each other, and through these meets, you learn more. So be a lifelong learner, because there is so much out there on the internet. Learn more and ask deeper questions, and I think you guys are doing something really good.
Yeah, thank you, Eddie. So moving on to our last one. So Sai, are you there with us? Saina?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. This is myself, Sainath. Now I'm going to present about the metaverse implications and advantages in the healthcare, and how the technical stuff is being used. And I'm representing my team, Life Saviors. So these are my team composition. Moving to the next slide. So I'm going to discuss regarding my title of the project, and project introduction, objectives, and how the limitations are there. And in the real-time world, how these advantages and overcoming the limitations, how we can save this world. So what is the project? My title is that indigenous intelligent multi-specialty pharmacy to save lives. In the real-time world, we see multi-specialty hospitals, but through this metaverse, we can create a multi-specialty pharmacy, and how it impacts the lives of the society. And my name of the model includes Medico Meta Pharmacy, yours Arogya Mitra. Moving to the next slide. So this is the introduction. Medico Meta Pharmacy, which is the name of this model, and tag is known as yours Arogya Mitra. Generally, Arogya means health in India, and Mitra is the friend. So where we can create a marketing strategy to impact the people to move towards us for saving their lives. So where Medico Meta Pharmacy, yours Arogya Mitra, that is yours friend of yours health. So objectives. Generally, when we see the statistical data of the India or the global level, we see that nearly 98,000 people die annually because of the mistakes committed by the medical professionals. That is because of the lack of manpower, lack of time, and lack of awareness in the patients regarding how to take this basic healthcare support, and lack of proper transport facilities, which makes difficult to commute. And next, it says that nearly 151,113 people die in road accidents because of the lack of proper emergency responding system, and lack of knowledge and awareness to the commuters about the first aid practices. So where we have the scope of including this metaverse, bringing here to save the people. So that's what my project says. And how this Medico Meta Pharmacy works. So this Medico Meta Pharmacy works where we create this block, where by using the artificial intelligence blockchain and other available resources, where we create an artificial area where, as so many presenters already said regarding the avatars and about that. So this is the presentation of slide which depicts that everything. So things to do in the Medico Meta Pharmacy. So through this Medico Meta Pharmacy, the objectives are like we can dispense the medicines by staying in the remote areas. For example, when we see the rural strategies in the India or any other areas, we see generally there are the lack of commuting of the healthcare team to the rural areas, which will be present nearly 200 kilometers to 300 kilometers away from the basic healthcare support. So where we can create this particular pharmacy dispensing in the rural areas through this artificial intelligence and the metaverse, we can dispense the medicines to the doorstep. And next, patient counseling. When we see the adverse drug reactions are the reactions which generally occur because of the lack of knowledge on how to take a proper medication or which medication we need to take at the right time. So by using these patient counseling techniques, by creating a digital world, we can counsel the patients and provide the proper rationalized services and intensive care support. As I mentioned, that 250 to 300 kilometers is required to get the basic intensive care or the basic care support. So when an emergency occurs around the 300 kilometers away from the location, it is highly difficult to save his life. So nearly lakhs of people are dying in India because of lack of this intensive care support in the immediate response. So we can create an intensive care support through this metaverse and rehabilitation services, as certain presenters are already mentioned regarding the mental health. So we have the social stigma. For example, if I'm suffering with any particular, as I'm saying, a lack of awareness, if aware person, he will be much mature to get his services. But if I am a lack of maturity, if I'm suffering with a depression or the mania or any particular bipolar, I might think that if I go to the world and say that I'm suffering with this, people might laugh at me and I might be, I may not be superior to take the services. So rehabilitation services, if we provide at his doorstep, we can rule out all the social stigmas. Next, first aid services. As we see the highway, national highways in India, we have lot of national highways where the accident occurs. It takes nearly 5 to 10 minutes of time to reach the ambulance to the particular location. But when we see a particular, for example, there is a person is going on the vehicle, he got the accident, and I'm the next vehicle to the person, but I don't know how to save his life. But
sorry to interrupt you. Can you talk a little slower, because I'm known to talk extremely fast. And
sorry, sir.
I have a little trouble keeping up with you, and I don't want to miss out on all the brilliance that you're sharing with us. So just a little slower, please.
Sure, sir. Because of the time strain, I was speeding up, but sorry. Yeah. So first aid services in India, we generally see these national highways routes where if an accident occurs, it takes nearly 5 to 12 minutes of time to reach out an ambulance or the emergency service to save his life. But if we take an example, if one person is going on a bike and he got an accident on the road, but as a second person, if I'm on the other vehicle, I don't know how to save his life, like chest press resuscitation or the first aid emergency services. So if we use this artificial intelligence, AR, VR on the roadside basis, if we mention there, if you found any emergency conditions in the road, please use this to get an understanding to save his basic support and inform the emergency services. Through this, we can rule out this 5 to 10 minutes time to decrease, and we can provide a basic support by the chest press resuscitation, which can be done through hand, or the mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, where we can blow an air into the mouth of the accident person. So that's where I want to mention that first aid services. And my next objective of this particular medical meta pharmacy includes support system for the mankind. So through this service, we can provide a source of help to the mankind, and we can create a wonderful world in the real time. So technologies need to operate this metaverse. So as I said, we already discussed about the artificial intelligence VR. So if we use this bot in the sense, which is an artificial which respond to the, because based on the databases, it gives the answers to the public. Though he is an illiterate person, he can understand in his local language about how to save a particular person. So if we create an artificial intelligence and a voice assistant and this robot service where he can understand basically and use this artificial intelligence and the blockchain, we can create a virtual reality by using this virtual glasses or this AR. So metaverse platform, through this service, which are the real time, I observed certain solutions are there, that is app.8xr, which provides an interface to create an artificial world among us, and Wurtulla chain, which rules out the cost and confirmation to use this Web3. So generally at present situations means in spite of using this virtual chain, there is a lot of time which takes nearly 15 to 30 minutes to use this particular blockchain, where if we use this Wurtulla chain, it decreases our time and also cost. Generally there is a $10 to $15 where the people might have the endurances to use these services as a platform providing. So I was always being though I'm from a healthcare background, I always want to know about this in technology knowledge on this particular, how this virtual works on. So I have kept here a case study where one of the presenter was presenting about the cancer. So when we see the cancer stats, it nearly says that by 2050, nearly 3.2 million people going to be diagnosed with this breast cancer. Why? Because, and also die because of the lack of awareness how to diagnose their breast health, and also the current diagnostic procedures which are there in the real-time world, which is not a proper way, like the privacy issues comes on, where they feel that stigma to go and check the breast to the people. So when here is a person by name known as Julian Rios Cantu, is from Mexico. At the age of 2030, at the age of 13 years old, he have created this EVA bra, a bra named as EVA bra, by consisting of the sensitive sensors which records the temperature, texture, where a woman can buy this EVA bra and use at her home self in the four wall, where she cannot go under for the mammography or any other intent which cause the danger to her. So this is one of the where it uses the artificial intelligence and the app interface in the mobile, which shows the health of the breast. So if the breast health is being degraded, she can directly go and consult to the doctor and show her this diagnostic procedure which have done through in her four wall. But when we use this metaverse, actually we're using this artificial intelligence, we can provide 81 points of specificity and 87.9% of the sensibility. But when we use this metaverse, we can decrease the commute time, and we can decrease the person going in the physical mode to the hospital. We can create an environment in her home. Through this, so many lot of women can come forward to diagnose her health. So this is one case study I want to present over here. And my limitations for this particular are, generally we see in the rural areas, there might be accessibility, internet might be low, but as the days are passing over, the people are more interested and enthusiastic to buy the mobiles and to know about the world. So where we have a scope over there, and the legal consents. So if we generally really understand the people in their language, the legal consents can be accepted to create the virtual rooms of their area or their villages. And the less connection between the healthcare and technical resource organization. For example, I'm a healthcare student, but I have a very less connections among my techie students. So if we build up that connection among the techie and the healthcare, we can do a boom in the society. And also, generally, the previous presentations I was been listening that in India there were no, in India not generally, we generally not see in India the health cards, but there is a scope in India because government of India recently it have initiated one plan called Ayushman Bharat, which issues the digital health cards to every patient where the Aadhaar card. Aadhaar card is an identification card every citizen of the India has. So by linking the mobile number to the Aadhaar card and accessing the health information into this particular digital health card, every person has the data in their health card. So if we use this, our metaverse knowledge or this blockchain artificial intelligence, we can really create a much more impact in the society. And advantages of my project is this project helps us to decrease the complete hindrances or the stigma of accessing basic and intensive clinical care support. So together, let's give a mankind better chance at life. Thank you, everyone. So this is my contact details, and thank you, everyone. This is presentation from team Life Saviors. Thank you.
So thank you, Saina. That's a lovely presentation. I liked it. So I think I'll start with Argon.
All right, cool. Okay, so first off, again, thank you for a really great presentation. I'm sorry that I interrupted to calm you down. I just want to emphasize that was only because I didn't want to miss out, and you were going really fast with a lot of information. Now, having a lot of information, I mean, from the whole of your presentation, something that is absolutely great is that it tells me that you really put in a lot of effort, a lot of work. You did a lot of research. So I think that's very strong. That's really great. It shows that you're taking this very seriously. You thought of a lot of stuff. You came up with, the scope. You looked at limitations. You had some really specific examples, and you had some significant data points to validate, your premise of why this, would be useful. So all of that's great. However, there's, it's of course not all sunshine and roses, as we say in Dutch. I think that, again, here what goes for this presentation and this approach is pretty much what went for the other ones as well. Scope. You're trying to do too many things. You're looking at too many different things. If you want to be successful in building a business, even if your goal is not to become the next, billion-dollar tech startup, it still comes down to, focusing, becoming successful in a very relatively small area first. Take a very specific small problem, solve that to a very high degree of, success, that people really appreciate that, and that you become the market leader in that, or that you are the leader in that industry or in that solution space, and then extend on the or expand that. And I think that this presentation, just as all the others, you're trying to do too many things, and you're trying to incorporate too many technology maybe as well, because that's another thing I noticed here. You mentioned AI several times, but it never became clear to me how AI was really giving you that competitive advantage, how that AI was adding a specific need, solving a specific problem for you that you had in this specific case that only AI could solve. And so then what it feels like to me is that you're introducing a level of complexity that might not even be necessary. Maybe it is necessary, I don't know, but that wasn't clear for me. And so that would be my feedback is, really ask yourself the question, what is it we absolutely need and to solve the problem? And that then comes back to, instead of having 10 problems to solve, pick one problem to solve. Having said that, I really liked some of the examples you gave. I liked the data points you had about traffic and about range and about, being able to help somebody really quick, for example, with, first aid. I also loved how you wanted to use this kind of metaverse interface to allow people to, not have prior knowledge, but be able to act and support them in that way. I think there's great opportunity there. Anything else? I really liked your problem analysis. You really did a great job there, so that's very good. Now the only thing left for me to say is don't talk so fast. This is going to sound rough, but fuck time.
Yes.
If people say you have 5 minutes, but your idea is great, you can take 10. Okay, so don't worry too much about time. If your idea is great, that doesn't matter. And then the second thing is never give your agenda up front. Because if you tell people what you're going to be talking about, they're going to be looking at the clock whenever they, are a little bored because they know what's coming and they might drift off. So rather just make it one big surprise journey and trigger them continuously with, because they never know what's going to come next. That's the power of any great story, is that you're not sure what's going to happen next and you're looking forward to that new exciting chapter. And you can do that with any keynote. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you so much for your feedback.
Thank you, Argon. So moving on to Eddie.
Hi, sir. I thought that was a lovely presentation and you narrated it beautifully. With how Aragon said, I mean, sometimes I think it's nice to kind of be more easy, because you're saying so many things which has got a lot of depth, and it's profound, because you're changing, your idea is about changing the current, the way, the healthcare functions. So I think emphasizing on those words, being a little bit more slow, I think would really work. Otherwise, I think it's brilliant. In fact, I would love you to kind of email your deck, and I would love to kind of understand this a little bit more, though. Yes, like what Aragon said, I mean, being narrow always works, because I guess we all have big ideas, and big ideas are good. I mean, I multitask, and so I am a believer of because the world has got so many problems, and that you cannot be narrow. But I guess because of the economical needs, because of making your startup, get that bandwidth of, some angel investor coming and saying that, okay, I'm going to invest in your runway. In your startup, you need to be a little bit narrow, and that kind of always helps, with the problem and the solution statement, So that's my suggestion, and I would love to kind of see this deck a little bit closely and kind of understand it a little bit more better.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Eddie. So moving on to Mark.
Yeah, I think I like this presentation most of the others, and because I love how you're addressing the problem. You basically put the problem as first, and we always forgot the building metaverse, especially to connect the people, and you put people lives at the first, and you're trying to help the people. Yeah, that's amazing, and how you're addressing this problem, I really love that. And maybe just one idea how you could improve your pitch. This maybe focus on how you do in narrow cases. You had one case with a bicycle accident, right? But maybe you could narrow it down, or just maybe do a few of them. But yeah, in general, I really like your presentation. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So moving on to Mike.
Yeah, it was good. So I have the same problem. I have the tendency to say too many answers to too many problems and talk too fast. It is something that you just have to consciously do. That's what I mean. People are sitting there listening to you. You don't have to talk fast. Slow it down. I know it feels slow in your head, but it's not. To everyone else, it's still fast. So don't ever think you're going to be honest, I don't actually think you can go too slow. To be honest, really slow speakers actually do the best. So always just try and slow it down as much as possible. And I know it's because you're passionate and you're excited. So everything you delivered was the right thing. But to be honest, you can be the smartest person on the planet, but if you deliver it too fast, people are going to miss it, and they're going to miss out how awesome what you're saying actually is. So slow it down. And the same thing, the big idea and the small idea, like for me, as someone who does this really well is sort of Elon Musk with like Tesla, like not Tesla, SpaceX. Like SpaceX missions go to Mars, but in his pitch deck, that's only slide one. Like that's just the hook, but the rest of it is, hey, how are we actually going to get there? And then he starts to say, hey, we're going to send a satellite into space as the first step. Because as soon as he says he wants to fly to Mars, everyone goes, you can't do that. It's crazy. So what he does is he sells the big idea, but then he goes into a little idea that shows that, hey, we could actually make progress there long term. So if you still want to tell the big story, tell it, just keep it short, and then say, hey, this is the little step that I'm going to do to show that we are the ones that can actually keep making progress to make that big step. You don't have to cover every step all the way to the end. Like you do that every time you have to, well, in raising money, you do that every time you need to raise more money. But to start with, you just need someone to give you some money for a little idea, and then you get to go work on it and prove you can do it. And then you sell the next one and you answer the bigger questions. So.
Yes.
But really good. I liked it. So.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Sainath. So thank you for all of your lovely presentations. We all have liked it. So if you have any questions for our judges, we can keep it like open for 5 to 10 minutes. In case if you don't have any questions, I would stop the recording, and I just want to talk to a few of them. So any questions, guys? Just you can comment in the chat box so that I can ask them. Any specific questions or generalized questions regarding Metaverse or any other questions, because we don't generally find them on one-to-one that easy, because we have this time difference and it's really hard to catch up. So yeah. So I think we don't have any questions. So, okay, on the closing note, I really want to thank all of our collaborators and all of our judges for taking out their amazing time. And I know I shouldn't be disturbing on weekend, but work calls. So yeah, thank you for making it so far, to all the presenters as well.
Yogendra, if I can make a suggestion. I know that sometimes when people suddenly get the opportunity for asking questions after they just listened to 3 presentations in a row and they've been silent for like an hour, it can take a little while to get the brain started. So how about we take 30 seconds and we just wait 30 seconds and give people an opportunity to think of any questions that they might have for me, for Mike, for Mark, and for Eddie. I know it feels awkward when it's silent 30 seconds, but
no, I actually have a question.
Exactly. Somebody will ask a question and then it will start and then more questions will roll in. So
yeah, so let me start. So how you actually came up with this idea of YOM, your own metaverse?
How did we come up with your open metaverse idea? Well, look, our founder, Daniel, is basically like a child. That's nice, but Daniel had this idea in 2012 that he just thought it would be amazing to be able to present in virtual reality, right? And at the time, everybody thought he was a lunatic, because why would you present in VR if you can present in the physical world? But he believed in this and he pursued that. And this is a takeaway for everybody of you guys that presented today. You know, Daniel never had any knowledge of blockchain. He didn't understand the technology behind virtual reality. And honestly, he still doesn't up until this day. Sometimes we have difficult conversations because he gets invited to interviews and he says, I don't want to go because they'll ask me complicated tech questions and I can't answer them. Right? But at the same time, his enthusiasm, his dedication, and his belief that there was something there to explore ultimately led to him bringing together our CTO Jorrit, our CEO Alex, and eventually bringing me on board. And we provide all the knowledge and understanding and skills that he lacked to make this a reality. But now we brought a team together, and then somewhere in 2019 we started working on this evolved idea. It's not just about presenting in VR, it's about what's going on in the world, creating experiences, creating events. And that led to the idea of, hey, if we're moving from Web 2 to Web 3, there will be a new kind of YouTube, right? Because we'll move from two-dimensional interactions that are mainly broadcast to three-dimensional interactivity. And something needs to make that possible in a way that removes all friction. Like you can move from one room to another in the real world. You want to be able to move from one place to another in a digital world, and you even have less physical restrictions. And that idea, you know, brought us together, different disciplines, different passions, and then we started working and we pitched that, and then we got 3.5 million seed investment, and you know, suddenly we were flying. So that's how that kind of happened.
Okay, so just for audience, this is sort of follow-up question. So what exactly does YOM do? And can you little bit share your screen and show that? I mean, if that is possible. I don't know if you're connected.
Sorry, were you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you, Aragon. So
what do we do? Okay, I can't really show you right now from here, but we did just release a video and a roadmap update on our website where we showcase the current technology. I could look it up on YouTube, but it'll take too long. But basically, what we do now is you can connect. You can go to a website where there's an embedded frame, and you can click on that, connect your wallet, a Solana wallet, so like Phantom wallet. Once you connect your wallet, it will spawn you in a digital virtual world built in Unreal Engine, which is delivered to you through pixel streaming technology. So it's rendered off platform. So you don't need a strong computer. You can use any device, mobile, a laptop, anything. And you can enter that world and your avatar will spawn. Once you connect it, you can open your inventory, which is a visual representation of your wallet. So if you own NFTs that have a three-dimensional digital representation compatible with Unreal Engine 5, you can spawn those in the world, and you can even interact with them. And that's the current state. The idea is that ultimately anyone, any creator that can work with Unreal Engine can create anything they can possibly dream of, and they can put that on our platform through our software development kit. Super easy, just like with YouTube. You just upload your video, you will upload your 3D asset or your 3D environment, and it will become available in the marketplace where you can then trade it or sell it or mint it or whatever. But you can also have this virtual world where people can come and visit you, interact with whatever is going on there. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, cool. So thank you for that. I think I can share my screen. Just a moment. Just for audience to get that. So this is it, right? Yeah, once I've opened this, if I'm not wrong.
I don't see anything right now.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the website. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think I've shared only my partial window. Let me share my whole screen. Yeah, I think you can see.
Yeah, that website is not so exciting because it's really due for an overhaul, and I'm working on that with the marketing team. So,
so you sell these tickets and passes for Meta Spaces. Okay, so it's something like YouTube. We can come there and create this play to earn, like a lot of exciting things. So we can surely connect for other things as well, Aragon. Thank you for that. And I think moving on to Eddie.
There's a question in chat too, by the way.
Oh, sorry. I have a question. Yeah, please go ahead. I think might be big obstacles in bringing pharmacy practices in Metaverse. That is sort of loaded. Yeah. So
I think that one of the biggest challenges is going to be legislation, because as we have already established earlier on, you can build a technological solution that can be instantly, distributed or implemented around the world. But every country, every area of the world will have different, legal frameworks that might or might not make it possible to actually use that. And I think that will be that will probably be the biggest issue, because the technology will be developed one way or the other.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Sorry to jump in. Absolutely agree. I think like legislation regulations like biggest pain. And my background, previously, like 10 years, I've been building a RegTech company here in UK, and this RegTech company helps big financial institutions to work with regulations. And I can't emphasize enough how like it's painful and how big the problem is, like to build the product and be regulated with all local laws. It's very important. It's very difficult. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So, any other comments or any other?
I completely agree. Legislation is going to be the painful thing. But it is, to be honest, it's the same thing with every successful business. Like every unicorn basically got through legislation to be, and that's why they're a unicorn. So to be honest, that's the actual problem you kind of need to solve. And it's like, how do you actually, to be honest, smart countries choose the right countries to start with. It might not be the country you're in. It's maybe you have to search every country in the world to say, hey, which one is the best to support this? And you might actually have to move your business there just to get it off the ground, because you need a test bed to really prove stuff.
Yeah, so Mike, we wanted to know about Wurtulla. So if possible, you can share your screen or a little bit about that for our audience.
Sorry, you're talking to me?
Yeah, right, about you, Mike.
Do you
Right.
want me to cover Wurtulla?
Yeah.
So I suppose I don't have to share too much. Like blockchains, like when people think there's a million choices with blockchains, there are a million solutions, and they, to be honest, they're all basically the same. For me, Wurtulla is no different. It's literally just like transactions per second. If anyone's ever used Solana, it breaks constantly currently. So I worked with Solana at Fractal, and it broke on us so many times that it was so unreliable that I got so frustrated that I said I'm going to leave and start to build a blockchain that actually works when it's supposed to. Yeah, I'm just building a blockchain. I have got, to be honest, it's a bit on the backside because I'm building another tech startup with someone in the space. I will launch it, and to be honest, if I don't launch it, they're coming. Like there's a whole bunch of high transaction per second blockchains coming. So like the market today is what's there now, but I'd say in 2 years there's going to be some serious good tech out there. So that's what with these business ideas, like you kind of have to work with the market now, but like everyone's going to build better blockchains around you anyway. So if you can get started, by the time you need to scale that high, there's going to be something that's there to support you, whether it's Wurtulla or someone else. I don't mind if someone else wins as long as someone fixes the problem.
Yeah, Mike just actually said something that reminds me of the last presentation where there was already a very specific choice for Wurtulla blockchain, I think it was. Be careful with that. Making such a specific decision so early on. I mean, we're working with Solana, but in some ways I totally recognize what Mike said. We tend to forget that it's super early days, right? And this technology is really, really, really in its infancy, at least blockchain is, and so the opportunities there in a few years from now will be way better with way better options. So if you cannot tie yourself down to such a specific choice right now, you will ultimately benefit from that further down the road, I'd say.
Thank you for that, Mike and Aragon. So I just have one question before moving on to Eddie. So getting on our currencies here, wouldn't there be any cyber attacks, or how can we safeguard our money? Because I see most of our money in our bank accounts, they get easily hijacked, or like there are many cyber attacks. So is there any specific thing that we can safeguard our own money to that?
Are you talking about like cryptocurrencies? I think obviously there's the whole Luna situation, stablecoin, but to be honest, it's not a real stablecoin. Like for me, blockchain, like cryptocurrency is going to be like volatile for a long time, but there are actually true stablecoins like USDC and some ones that are actually backed dollar to dollar. If it's backed dollar to dollar, it means for every dollar on the chain, there's actual real money sitting in the bank. So technically they can't crash. I could probably get proven wrong one day when someone hacks one of them, but seriously, you can always put your money in them. And then the best practices on wallets. I think the wallets are the one thing that I think that have advanced the most over the last few years. When you have sort of Phantom on Solana and then MetaMask. I think just stick with what's popular. I'm one of these people that bought like Bitcoin back in 2005 or something, and I didn't save my wallet, so I lost what would be millions of dollars now. But the thing is, don't do it yourself. Trust someone else. Hosted solutions, they do charge a little bit more fees, but at least you can get your money back if you lose it. So yeah, that's my input anyway.
Don't leave it on Mount Gox.
Yeah, don't trust anyone.
What exactly do you know about the security of a block is a question in chat. That's a very, very vague question. Look, you know, if I can just, I'm going to make an assumption on your question here, but right now, you know, most proper blockchains that you are, you know, basically derived from the basic foundations that were set out by Bitcoin and Ethereum Classic afterwards. You know, the blockchain itself is you know, immutable and unhackable, right? Anything you see happening these days with people getting their shit stolen or shit fucked up is because people make human errors, like stupid links in their email. They leave their seed phrase, you know, lying around on a piece of paper, whatever stupid stuff. It's always that. And if there is a hack, then usually what it refers to is that there has been something going on in the, you know, internet infrastructure, not the blockchain, but the moment from transaction, you know, and the information that is being exchanged between somebody behind their computer and their wallet and you know, the other side. It's not the blockchain that fails. Never. The only moment we need to all become very afraid is when quantum computing suddenly takes a leap forward and becomes widely available. Because quantum computing, even though, you know, it's not a one-on-one replacement of traditional computing as we understand that, it does have the potential to basically hack any blockchain, right? Or, well, so let's say 99% of them. So in the next decade, what I hopefully we will see is that a lot more people will develop blockchains that take that into account and will be also unhackable by quantum computing. Right now, most of them are not. So that's a real challenge, you know, in the future. I think the rest is just human error. If we can fix that, if we can become less stupid as human beings, you know, then that'll be all right.
Yeah, thank you for that, Arda.
Yeah, I can just add to this. So we had Fractal, and then we obviously worked with a bunch of games. So Fractal got hacked before we obviously launched. I think we lost about $300,000 worth of crypto. It's not a hack. To be honest, they're social engineering attacks, and they're really good. So basically, they find the weakest team member that doesn't know what they're doing, and they basically do that. It's not even like over a few weeks. Like, it's not even like a couple of hours. They literally do this over days and weeks. There's even stories where they've hired employees and the employees have been sleeping for like months, and then they finally break into it. It's always social engineering. It's never the blockchain. Seen it firsthand. It's pretty amazing what they come up with, but it's scary too.
Yeah, so I think I was with Eddie. Eddie, are you there? You were mentioning about podcast and also just a little bit about your work. So
I'm a community builder, and I'm trying to, you know, raise awareness on technology. So I do two podcasts. One is called The Ones Changing the World, where I've interviewed around close to 160 plus leaders, you know, fronting right from artificial intelligence to quantum computing to nanotechnology to genetic editing to blockchain, Web3, autonomous vehicles, flying vehicles, the entire shebang, you know, which is coming, you know, what we say is deep tech, you know. So that's one podcast. And there's another podcast which is called XROM, which is AR, VR, MR, and Metaverse focused. And I guess, you know, I'm learning every day, learning from these great minds. And I guess that's my advice to, you know, whoever's, you know, we are all learning. And I guess, you know, if you want to build a preferred future, start learning, because there's some fantastic things happening. And I think in the next few decades, there's going to be everything which we, you know, the quote, Arthur C. Clarke's quote, you know, any sufficient advancement in technology is indistinguishable from magic. And I guess that's the world that we are getting into. And I guess just we need to be aware about it, play and try to, play a role in creating a future that we all are looking for and are all we want, rather than the dystopian future. So be lifelong learners, and yeah, that's my last words.
Okay, thank you, Eddie. So I think Mark, yeah.
Yeah, I just maybe guys want to share my screen and show our product and how it works. It may be useful. And just a few intro story. I had like a pre-Oculus headsets before. So like my first VR headset, sorry, not Oculus, VR headsets. And like my first VR headset was PlayStation VR, and like I was so surprised. I was, wow, it like virtual reality comes to the world, and the biggest problem was like there's no content, no games. It was only one game, and I was really upset about that. And yeah, I said like, okay, let's wait for a few years, maybe some another headset comes and this amazing content. And after that, Oculus comes, and Oculus is amazing hardware, very cheap actually, very affordable. And again, I bought it and trying to find amazing games, and there's only was Beat Saber, right? and a few small games, and yeah, I was upset again.
Have you never played Elite Dangerous? Go play Elite Dangerous, bro. It'll blow your mind.
Okay, I'll try. Maybe it's just another piece of gem what I missed. Thanks for that. Thanks for the suggestion. Yeah, and after that, yes, second Oculus comes in the same story, and so I was really surprised why it's so hard to make a games in VR. Why so many, a few of them. So, and step by step, we started to build our engine to help people to bring these virtual reality experiences to the web. So yeah, I just want to share my screen and show you how it works right now. Maybe just for a few seconds. And as you see right now, this is like our builder tool, and this builder tool available purely online. So you don't need to download something. You need to like learn how Unity or Unreal works. You just jump into the page. You can travel through this page, position the object, and like you see, this is a stormtrooper right now standing behind the bar, right? There is like pictures of the monkeys on NFTs. You can integrate your NFTs what you bought. So we have like amazing library of assets you could use. It's located here. We also support special audio, so you could put the audio streams in the scene and play with it, or you can make some animations. And for Stormtrooper, like on this, like you see there's a few animations available for him. And most amazing thing, like your result will be available immediately as soon as you press the play button, because the fully WebGL web experience, you will get your result just in a seconds. And this result will be shared to another people, and this result could be viewed not on the laptop, but on mobile phones and VR headsets. And yeah, right now I'm like in, and you see like this Stormtrooper is dancing and doing his things. So you could do pretty everything, and all this stuff will be available to everyone who has a browser. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Mark. That's a good one. So the participants, if you have no other questions, I just want a room with all of our judges. So on this ending note, anymore? I think there was one question. Okay, you have answered that. Okay, fine. So I think Sai have one more question. Sai Chaitanya, you can go on. So you can post it here, or you can unmute.
Yeah, I've posted it in that. So is blockchain hackable? Like, as per the best of my knowledge, if one tries to hack a blockchain, it has hashes, right? So it completely changes, in a cascade manner. So is it possible, or as per my knowledge, it's next to impossible, right? So yeah. I have my questions to judges.
I can probably add that it's not hackable. What is hackable though is bad contracts. Like the fact that people can write any contract now is that's usually where the flaw is, that someone's written a contract and they haven't thought through all the use cases. That's why people have bought like NFTs that were on sale for like 6 months ago and no one bothered to actually close the contract. So it's usually people that have just written contracts the wrong way, which is why it's really important that standards exist. And that's where probably in this space, prescription standards are probably going to be the most important thing, so that everyone follows the same contract. Because if you have a good one, you should get compliance on it as well and get it audited. Most people don't. So
I agree with that. There was a project a month ago here in the Netherlands where they sold a bunch of NFTs, and the organization had been warned throughout the previous weeks several times that there was problems with the smart contracts that opened them up to vulnerabilities. They ignored it, and so on the day that the NFT sale or minting went live, a hacker basically took advantage of the vulnerability, and he basically hijacked worth 140 million of the NFTs, and then he gave it back, but then they lost all of it in a way that they can never get it out, because there was another bug in the smart contract, because they didn't audit it properly, that basically made the whole thing inaccessible. I'm just trying to put it as simple as possible. But basically, that 140 million, I think it was, got stuck in the blockchain and can never, those NFTs, those contracts can never be, how do I say this right in simple language? They can never be accessed. Let's just put it that way. So think of it like the money went into a bank account, but that bank account, because there's an error in how it's programmed, can never connect to another bank account to kind of get it out. So
it's sort of in the gateway.
Yeah. So it's fucked. And so that is, that's the kind of things that happen. But again, like Mike and me have said many times before, it all comes down to human error. Right? The people that built this and that minted these NFTs, they should have done a better job getting their smart contracts audited, getting it checked out. If they had done that, they would have been able to avoid this. But instead, they were greedy. They wanted to get it quickly off the ground. They went in for the money. Personally, I think, what goes around comes around. If you're not trying to build something because you want to really build something, but just because you want to get rich quick, this is what happens.
Yeah, got it, Aragon. Yeah. So, okay. So I just want a space with our judges. So before that, so thank you for your active participation. I would look forward to meet you in the metaverse, guys. So yeah, thank you for this.
So just to be clear on this, because I have to leave in half an hour, we're going into a different room with the judges now to make our final decisions, right? Is that correct?